Hey everybody, two Alpha Gals here. I'm Debbie Nichols.
And I'm Candace Mathis, and you're listening to In the Tall Grass, where we're sharing stories of reinvention, resilience, and rediscovering joy.
Whether it's facing Alpha Gal syndrome or any other redefining chapter of life, we all have to learn how to navigate the journey through the tall grass. So here we go. Candace and I are so excited to announce that we have officially launched our food allergy mentorship program. We are ready to take everything that we've learned from our combined experience of having alpha-gal syndrome and other food allergies and sensitivities and share that with you. So if you are looking to dig deeper into your allergies or just looking for some extra support, check it out on our website. That's twoalphagals.com, TWO alphagals.com. So with Thanksgiving being next week, we decided there would be no better time than to talk about it today. So that's what we want to do. We want to talk a little bit about the things we miss and the things we don't miss and the things we've reinvented.
Yeah, I think it's the best time to talk about food, right? Like it's something that we a lot of times miss out on, or we feel like we're missing out on, or we feel like we have to give up. And I think we both have some great stories to share about how we've reinvented this time of the year over the years, because we've both had to navigate prior sensitivities and allergies before our alpha-gal diagnosis. And I know for me, it was challenging at first, not going to lie. I think I cried sitting there with my recipes, my Food Network magazines, like thinking I would never be able to make certain things again. I don't know if you felt like that, but it slowly started to evolve for me. And I realized, hey, I don't have to throw this stuff out. Like I can just change things up. So I would love to know, do you have some favorite foods for Thanksgiving, for the holidays? Were there some surprising new favorites that you found through all of this reinvention?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to try to say them without stealing any of yours, because I know we've shared some recipes and some of those are my favorite things now. So I think that maybe my favorite recipe, this time around, I make a corn casserole. So that was something new that I added when I started having, different sensitivities and just trying to shake things up. We would always do the alternating Thanksgivings with my family and my in-laws. And so when it was my year and, sometimes I got to host, I would always try to just mix things up a little bit, right? Instead of having just plain corn, I made a corn casserole. And then last year, I made it completely safe for myself. And nobody noticed. And so I had brought that to my family, and that was really fun because I had made it, gluten-free and dairy-free. And I think I ate like half the dish probably because I'm like, I know this is safe. It's my favorite.
I think that's the best part of this before I share mine is I remember, so I was diagnosed with my wheat allergy in 2009, and it wasn't I think it was that summer. So that was when I was crying over my Food Network magazines. Like, I'm never going to eat Thanksgiving again. And
right.
But I tried like a stuffing recipe that was complete trash. And
there are some of those.
Because gluten-free back then, it was a lot harder to find good products that tasted good. So I remember a couple of Thanksgivings after that, when I had like nailed some stuff down, I made this coconut cake, and it was actually a Bobby Flay recipe. And it takes like 3 days to make this cake. It is so worth it. I was determined to bring it to Thanksgiving and not tell a soul that it was gluten-free. My cousin Kristen was the only one that knew that it was, aside from my family. And everyone ate it, and they were all like, this is the best cake. And this is coming from people that, would they have known that it was gluten-free, they probably would not have tried it. So I think stepping into this with alpha-gal, I loved that part of it, but it took me a long time to get to that point because, gosh, I had been navigating a wheat allergy for like 12 years. and got really good at baking and all of that stuff. But it took time, and it took me a lot of failed attempts to get to that place. So I would definitely encourage people, don't give up, like just keep trying. So my favorite Thanksgiving recipes, I love sweet potato casserole.
Yeah.
Like this big debate on like the topping of sweet potato casserole. I am not a marshmallow girl, thankfully, I guess, because
that, that's a little tricky with alpha gal, right?
right. So my family always made it with like pecans and brown sugar and
that's how we eat it too.
a stick of butter. So there were like easy ways to swap it to make it alpha gal safe. You just use
Right.
the butter and safe sugar, and no one knows the difference. So, but I think this was probably one of the ones you were not sharing is the
I know it's
fig,
coming.
the fig and sausage cornbread stuffing.
Yes.
And clearly we can't do pork sausage, but we subbed out ground chicken and made our own sausage, if you will, just using certain spices. And it is the best thing. It's my favorite part of Thanksgiving now.
You were right. That was the recipe I was thinking of because it is also one of my very favorites, because stuffing, I think, is kind of hard when you're gluten-free, because the gluten-free breads, as good as they are now, they just don't hold up in the same way.
Yeah.
But when you use the cornbread, like you do gluten-free cornbread, it works.
Yeah.
And I was a little skeptical about it looking at it when I was making it. But oh my gosh, it's the right amount of savory with the Italian sausage made out of chicken like we do, and sweet from the figs. And oh my gosh, it is so good.
It is so divine. Last year, so I went plant-based last summer. Yeah, so I've been plant-based for a year, or vegan for a year, over a year. And I just left out the sausage. I think I just added some of the extra spices to it.
Sure.
To give it that. But this year I found these really awesome plant crumbles, and I'm going to see if they will work in place of it.
I can totally imagine that they would work great, having had those before and even making them into Italian plant crumbles.
Yeah, well, they have them like already made, and they're delicious, and they have fennel seed and all of that in them. So yeah, that's my plan for this year, to do that. So yeah, I think it's just taking what, looking at your recipes that you have, that you love, your tried and true recipes, and seeing how you can make the tweaks. And I think for most of them, I've been surprised that they work. I don't really feel like I've had to totally throw out a traditional recipe for Thanksgiving, really.
Right. I think it's harder at, Christmas or Easter, where the main dish is often, roast beef or ham or lamb. At least we've got our turkey on Thanksgiving. Well, those of us who aren't plant-based have our turkey, but actually I could kind of give or take the turkey unless we do something really fun with it, like brine it and smoke it.
I know, I am all about the sides. Like,
yeah, me too.
all of the sides. Like, I make my own cranberry sauce. I know a lot of people probably really love casseroles. I'm just not a big casserole person. So, I've always done just like fresh green beans, or I make these, what I call drunken Brussels, because I add hard cider to them and cook them down. Like, that to me has become more of my comfort food than a casserole, I guess. There's still ways, right? Because you do more of that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because that's what my husband grew up eating, right? He had this great, actually, his mom was great in so many ways, but and sadly she's no longer with us, but she left a lot of recipes and definitely impacted my cooking ability. And so he grew up eating all the casseroles, right? The green bean casserole and the sweet potato casserole and the corn casserole. And so, and cheesy potatoes, that's another one. And that gets made at every holiday. And I can't eat it because it's just, that one's just not the same without real cheese. But I can make all these others and nobody knows. But I do like, I'm with you on the green beans. Like, my son loves a green bean casserole, and I'll make the traditional one for him, making it a little bit safe for me. But I like just the plain green beans, like roasted or even in the skillet, just
Yeah.
yum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, years ago, we started hosting Thanksgiving at my house because at that point, my husband's a chiropractor and their office was open on Black Friday. So we had to stay here. It was really hard for us to travel. Our families live 5 and 6 hours away. So do you have any tips for people that might have to travel? We just haven't had to do that. So of course I would say if you can host, but do you
Yeah.
have any words of wisdom for those that might have to travel to a family member's house for the holidays?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I think that, and I don't know if other people get hangry like I do. If I don't have something to eat, it's not going to be good on any level. And so, I do what I can to check ahead to see what people are making. I make sure that I'm bringing my own safe recipes, but then also I make sure that I have plenty of stuff that I like that I can eat if the other stuff doesn't satisfy me. If there's just like nothing else I can eat but corn casserole, right? Like I'll bring some Lara bars and I'll always bring safe wine because then I really feel like I'm not missing out on the party, or even safe bourbon or whatever it is you like to drink. And so that I do feel like I'm a part of the party, even if I can't partake in all the food and
Yeah.
everything. And it's kind of funny because we host Thanksgiving on occasion, but during the pandemic, I really found that to be a silver lining when we had Thanksgiving just as like our nuclear family. Like it was just me and my husband and our 2 kids. And I made everything, right? I didn't want them to feel like they were missing out on Thanksgiving with it being a holiday. So I made the turkey and the green beans and the stuffing and the potatoes and the sweet potatoes and the corn and everything. And I cooked all day and I loved every minute of it. And I could eat everything. Like, I don't think I made cheesy potatoes that time, but I could eat every single thing that I made. And I was able to tweak recipes. And in fact, that being 2020, last year, I took some of that same stuff, that I had learned that was good still with the substitutions. So my advice would be if you can't host, just make sure you're not going to go hungry and make sure you bring something special for yourself, right? If you don't want to be left out, if you don't want to feel left out, put things in place so that you don't feel that way.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And, I know we've shared some of our favorite recipes on our blog. And, the Minimalist Baker has an amazing, if you like pecan pie, I found this pecan pie bar recipe that I will never make a pie again. It is, I know
Yeah.
you did it.
That was another one. I brought that to Thanksgiving last year. And what was so neat is that I brought it and it was vegan and it was gluten-free. And I have a cousin who's gluten-free. He has celiac. And he was able to eat all the things that I had brought. And it was really neat to be able to say, I brought you and me a dessert. And of course, everyone else in the house ate it because they're amazing. But to have something that he and I could partake in without having to worry, it was really kind of special, actually.
I love that. And I think that that is such a great point. It's like, don't deprive yourself.
Yeah.
If you have the time, find a recipe. There are so many recipes out there that are safe for us. And if you have any questions on safe substitutions, please reach out to us. We would be more than happy to look over a recipe for you and see how to make it, show you how to make it safe so that you're not
Definitely.
missing out, and
Definitely.
we have a wine list that we can share as well. So we want, we deserve to be able to celebrate safely as well. And we hope that sharing our recipes and kind of little tips and tricks of what we've done over the years helps you have a cheerful holiday season.
Yes. And I would just add that if you're looking for the stuffing recipe, it is on a post in our blog and it will blow your mind. It is so good. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for joining us today on In the Tall Grass. Visit us at 2alphagals.com. That's TWOalphagals.com. Or you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at 2alphagals. If you enjoyed listening, please leave a review and help us grow this community.
We're all faced with obstacles on our journey, whether it be food allergies or tick-borne diseases. You might outgrow the reactions, but you won't outgrow the person you become. Ticks suck, but life doesn't have to.